Hey, stellar friends, this is Tiffin, and it is Monday, November 27th. And I wanted to do a quick chat about this full moon in Gemini that was exact in the early morning Pacific time. So early, like right after midnight. Um, and to give you some perspective, perhaps, on the planetary energies at play this week. Um, so, full moon is opposition of sun and moon every month. And the moon is fully reflecting the light of the sun. So the sun is shining at us through the Sagittarius lens, an archetype right now, and it's sitting right next to the planet Mars. So this is our consciousness, our planet of ambition, drive, how we're taking action is strongly linked to our belief systems, to what we believe in, what we have faith in, what we hope for. Very Sagittarian themes like that, the optimism and expansion energy in the zodiac. Now, last week, I talked about both the sun and Mars, as soon as they moved into Sagittarius, met up with the planet Saturn in that 90-degree challenge. And a meetup with Saturn, especially in a square like that, is a real slow down, like hold your horses, Sagittarius, kind of a message. And it can feel like there are limitations, or you're trying to get something going and you're stuck. There's a not so fast kind of a message. The Saturn is in Pisces, has been since March 7th, and it relatively recently turned direct. So it's going back over the first few degrees of Pisces. I think it's still technically at 0 degrees of Pisces. So it's not going very far, very fast. And so Saturn is sort of drilling down that early Pisces degree, saying, let's put our attention, let's call our energy to the Pisces archetype, which is about acknowledging the collective consciousness, that sense of belonging in a spiritual, intuitive, emotional way. And I think I've talked about Saturn and Pisces before as being kind of a hard energy to grab onto. Really, any energy in Pisces is hard to grab onto because it's a very dissolving kind of an energy. Everything sort of melts into the all that is of Pisces. And with Saturn there, it can feel like it's difficult to know what our work is when the work is around surrendering to that larger energy, to that mysterious energy, to our emotional field, our spirituality, our intuition. I've been liking thinking of it as giving attention and form to the ways that I feel into my meditations, my opening my heart, my trying to let go of my mind, which is challenging me so much lately. My mind can be a very busy place. And I have my Mercury, the mental function in my chart, is in the opposite sign to Pisces. It's in Virgo. And it's with Uranus, the stir it up planet, and it's with Pluto, the go deep and be investigative and break things down. And Virgo likes to analyze and critical think its way around everything. And so I've been feeling this energy really strongly. I also have planet Saturn at 2 degrees of Pisces. So I'm in my second Saturn return and have been talking with other people in my life, both those in my age bracket of second Saturn return, and with a few friends who are in their late 20s who are experiencing their first Saturn return. And we've been talking a lot about what this reckoning of Saturn and Pisces is offering us who have it natally. It's a chance to really see where we are. Where are we? It's a check-in point. But for everyone, Saturn and Pisces is a time to put attention to your inner realm, your connection with the divine, with God, with your beliefs. And with this Saturn square to the Sun and Mars, okay, this slow it down to the Sagittarian exuberance, the Sagittarian desire to expand its reach, to find the big picture, to really understand its worldview. Saturn saying, slow down and surrender some of that. Some of the Sag energy that could use to be surrendered is a sort of a rigidity around beliefs, or a know-it-all kind of an energy, a proselytizing evangelical kind of an energy around whatever beliefs might be. So not connecting it to religious beliefs necessarily, although there is a connection to cultural and spiritual beliefs that the archetype of Sagittarius is connected to. But if that's not something you relate to, know that you still have Sagittarian energy in you, and it can be believing what you think. It can be believing what you've been conditioned to believe in our culture, in your culture, and having really clear and sometimes rigid ideas about that. And so this challenge from Saturn and Pisces is saying, let's let that go. Let's let it be. Like, release your grip on that and surrender, and turn instead to the Pisces qualities of acceptance, of unconditional love, forgiveness, and empathy. And that energy has been really strong all week, that Saturn square to the Sun and Mars. And now for the Gemini full moon, here comes the moon moving into the position that is also square to Saturn and Pisces. So our emotional experience, what we're feeling, and I really felt this yesterday, big feelings, full moon, meeting up with Saturn limitations, or demand that I be understanding, compassionate, forgiving when my emotions were really boiling. And that Sagittarian righteousness was right on board for me. My Pisces planets and my Virgo planets were really at play in this. And so having all four mutable signs, I'm going to kind of point them out. Sagittarius is opposite to Gemini. Gemini is where the moon is for this full moon. And normally a Gemini moon feels kind of light, kind of mentally engaged, curious, friendly, jokey or flirty, kind of a fun energy on its own. Okay. But pair that with sort of a serious, slow it down and understand, be compassionate, forgive of Saturn in Pisces is slowing down that Gemini moon. And that Gemini moon is opposite the Sun and Mars, reflecting what those Sagittarian beliefs are. And so a possibility for us during a Gemini full moon with this configuration with Saturn is that we can see where our beliefs perhaps are rigid, or where we're not tapping into our sense of compassion or understanding for ourselves and others, where we may be a little too righteous in our thinking and our feeling. For those of us in our late 50s, we have a lot of planets in Virgo. We have definitely Uranus and Pluto. And some of you may have personal planets like Mercury, like I do, or Venus or Mars there, and you'll be feeling that Saturn opposition. You'll be feeling the square to the moon and the sun and Mars. So it gets more complex. And when you know your chart, you can anticipate, like, oh, this full moon, I'm going to really feel this one because it's in relationship, or it's in aspect to other planets in my chart, which make it feel more personal. So I know that's not the case for everyone listening, but I wanted to bring that up. And that if you've been interested in following what I share about current astrology, or what other astrologers are sharing about the current astrology or the transits, you can make it even more powerful for yourself by understanding your own chart and how you can kind of follow the transits, or at least follow the new and the full moon, and just get a feel for what that's like. So that's a way you can start using this information more personally. Now, I think it is helpful to just know kind of what's going on in the cosmos and go, oh, that kind of resonates with how I've been experiencing. That's what it feels like. Sort of like the cosmic weather out there does feel like there's a desire for this fast-paced, optimistic expansion. Kind of want to, get going with that. The Mars and the Sun together. I've also been feeling a little held back, or like, oh, I have to be serious about this, or I have to really consider things. There's the Saturn influence. And then this full moon energy we've all been in is like, oh, I can really feel it. And I'm reflecting back from Gemini, which tends to be curious, mental. So Gemini is ruled by the planet Mercury. And so looking at what's Mercury doing in the sky? So Mercury is currently in Sagittarius also. It's near the end of Sagittarius, and it will be changing signs on Friday into Capricorn. But while it's here in Sagittarius, it is in that square, that challenging aspect to the planet Neptune in Pisces. And Mercury square Neptune can feel a whole lot like a Mercury retrograde. Like your thoughts might not feel super clear. You might feel, but you might feel really creative and intuitive, or you might just feel a little foggy in your thinking or your communication. It can feel like just not really a clear channel for how you're perceiving things and how you're communicating about them when Mercury is square to Neptune. And this Mercury in Sag is the ruling planet of this full moon in Gemini. And we're going to feel this full moon Gemini today, tomorrow. And then when it moves into Cancer, we'll start, like that energy will dissipate as the moon then wanes towards the Sagittarius new moon. So this week we're in the following the full moon, and it will wane to the third quarter moon by next Monday. So another strong energy in the sky has to do with the planet Venus. Planet Venus is in Libra, that sign that loves harmony and is aware of relationship between things. Venus in Libra loves finding and creating that peaceful rapport, but it's challenged in that 90-degree aspect, challenged by the planet Pluto in Capricorn, which is about empowerment, is about though breaking down the parts of the structures, traditions, and systems that we're used to in order for a more empowered structure to emerge. But it mostly feels like the breakdown and the challenge and the falling away of what we've been able to, or what we may have leaned on. So Capricorn tends to be that foundational, traditional roles and structures. So when Venus, the planet of relationship and our sense of our value, meets up with Pluto, that is tearing away the structures that we've relied on socially, mostly, it can feel unsteady in relationships, can feel like, oh, I've always related this way with my partner or my friend or my parent, and it's not working well now. And I've talked with a lot of people who are struggling in one or more of their close relationships, and I've been experiencing that myself. And I keep reminding myself that Venus in Libra is here as an ally energy to help us value the reciprocity and the balance, finding the balance first in ourselves. Are my emotions and my thoughts going wild swings on that seesaw, or is it kind of finding a balance inside? Okay, that Pluto and Capricorn, all the planetary energies, I believe, are here as our allies and partners in our growth. When I can look at Pluto through the perspective of it's here to empower me and to help crack and crumble away the parts that are not helping, that are not serving, if you will, that feels easier to let go of some things that had become kind of constrictive. What else do I want to say in this? I know. That full moon in Gemini can give us a felt experience, feelings, emotions, the moon, of what is that Gemini archetype? How can I feel into, what does it feel like to be able to take on different perspectives, try out new ideas, show curiosity and engagement from many different perspectives. And this helped me hugely yesterday. I was in really kind of a funk, bad mood, feeling really low and kind of stuck and upset. And I went for a walk and I went to our local labyrinth. And I walked into the labyrinth wondering, like, what can I learn from the Sagittarius and the Gemini energy? And I felt into that and sat with it, walked with it into the labyrinth. And the gift of Gemini, I think, is that willingness to try on a different perspective. Like, okay, I'm feeling all this heavy emotion, all this stuckness, all this sadness, all this kind of yuck. What else is here? Or could I try it on a perspective of, I'm moving through this sort of sluggy period and it's opening up? Or can I put on my rose-colored glasses for a change and find through that Sag lens, really, which Sag tends to be a lens of optimism and hope. And can I see my harder emotions or harder experiences through a hopeful lens, like it's helping me grow? Or can I lean into that Saturn energy in Pisces? Can I find some compassion here? Can I let this go? And I really kind of went through mental, here calling in the Gemini, that mental exercise of what's another perspective or what's another mood or another emotion I could experience in this. Same situation, same circumstances, but what's another way I could experience this? And, some of them felt really like, oh yeah, nice idea, but there's no way I can relate to that right now. Couldn't quite access happy or thrilled or content, or some of those were harder for me to find, but I was able to find a little movement. Gemini energy loves movement, mental perceptive movement. Gemini I think of as, that eagerness to learn and experience and taste life. Watching a butterfly in a garden, it's going to land on so many flowers and just enjoy flitting from one to the next, not getting attached to any one idea or any one experience. So see if you can't feel into that Gemini moon a little and take that capacity for perceiving your emotions, the moon, through that Gemini lens. I think you'll find that it'll bring some lightness and some variety where the Sagittarius energy can get rigid or righteous around what's the right way to feel and believe and do. Now, there's goodness in that as well, to question what your beliefs are and to know and to be clear on that. So all of these archetypes have a range of expression, and each of us has access to all 12 archetypes in the zodiac and all the energies of the planets, all these parts of ourselves. And I think that the message I want to offer from this week's astrology really is that flexibility and the mutability of the signs of Sagittarius and Pisces and Gemini, where the planetary action is, and to point out that the fourth mutable sign, Virgo, helps us bring in critical thinking and discernment. And so if you feel lost in the sort of fog of Neptune square to Mercury, you can reach for some discernment. Can you find a particular thing to focus on or a particular task to do? And that'll help. If you feel overwhelmed by the sort of frenetic, busy energy of feeling moon in Gemini, because it's big and bright and our emotions are attuned to that Gemini energy, if that feels like too much to you, can you call in the Saturn and Pisces and slow it down intentionally? Can you feel yourself slowing down? So those are some ways you might think about that. We will have a change of sign for Mercury on Friday, out of Sagittarius, that expansive, hopeful, fiery, creative, kind of future-oriented, into the Capricorn practicality. And pay attention to how Mercury in Sagittarius feels for you, and pay attention to how Mercury moving into Capricorn feels to you over the weekend. The things that are on our minds now and up until December 12th will be themes and topics, questions that we will revisit during Mercury retrograde from the 12th of December to the 1st of January. So see if you can pay attention to what are the themes and topics that your mind is going to. And if you're a journaler, it's great to jot some of those things down. And we'll be revisiting. And some of you go, oh no, Mercury retrograde. But I really think this one's beautiful. It is a great way to wrap up December, wrap up 2023 with some reflection. I'll be talking more about that. So also wanted to remind you, if you listened last week or the week before, I'm offering 20% discount on sessions from now until the end of the year. It's an extended time of discounted rates. Even a 30-minute session to check in with yourself and how these energies are working for you can help you get perspective and some helpful tools in moving through the rest of the year and holidays, however you celebrate them. You can purchase several sessions if you know you like to check in with your chart and you'd like to have some astro coaching with me throughout the year. That's possible, and gift certificates are available as well. So any interest in that, know that rates are 20% off, and just reach out to me, send me an email, tiffin@tiffindillon.com, or a message through the Facebook group. Or yeah, I think those are the two best ways to reach me if you'd like to arrange that. Meanwhile, happy full moon in Gemini. Enjoy what should feel like kind of the release today. After the exact full moon, it's kind of like an exhale of that energy. And now we can like really feel into it. And Gemini invites us to play with the energy. So I hope you can experience some of that fun of a Gemini moon. Little social time. Reach out to a friend. Okay, have a great week, and I'll talk to you again sometime soon. Bye.